Alien, humanoid, cryptid, man in black, figment of the imagination, or all of the above. This being who terrorizes people in the dead of night is known by many names, yet he requires only one. Who is the grinning man? Cast your mind back to childhood, a time when life felt like an uncertain mixture of innocence and wonder. Each day was its own adventure, and your imagination ran without limits. Weekends brought pocket money, scraped knees brought tears, and darkness brought every kind of foreboding you could imagine. Just as children instinctively fear the dark, they also create a monster to live inside it. Maybe your bogeyman was the strange recluse who lived at the end of your street, or something unseen watching from beyond the tree line behind your home. Perhaps you imagined a creature lurking on some lonely stretch of moorland, only emerging at night to feast on the young. Whatever form it took, that fear faded with age. Your parents told you monsters were not real. You accepted it. And yet, even now, how can we be so certain? Every year, people all over the world report creatures that defy logic. Aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, the Wendigo, skinwalkers, black-eyed children, the chupacabra, dogman, mothman, slender man, lizard men, pig-faced men, invisible men, men in black. The list grows longer each year. Many are terrifying, but few compare to the grinning man, a figure said to appear on cold, dark nights, often not just seen outdoors but inside homes, silently watching as people sleep. On paper, his appearance sounds almost ordinary. He does not have the black, empty eyes of an alien gray, the gigantic frame of a Sasquatch, or the claws of a dogman. Yet something about him unsettles witnesses in a way those other beings never could. He is described as towering, close to 7 feet tall, with broad shoulders and a muscular build. His small beady eyes sit too far apart, flanking a shallow nose. His face is completely hairless, and he is often seen wearing a tight one-piece suit that reflects light like metallic foil. His expression might have been neutral, even calm, if not for the detail that gives him his name. He is always grinning, a wide, unnatural, deeply menacing grin. His mouth smiles, but his eyes remain cold and empty. Witnesses often describe a crushing sense of dread when they see him, as if they are staring directly into death itself. What follows are some of the most unsettling encounters ever recorded involving the grinning man. The earliest known sighting of the grinning man occurred in Elizabeth, New Jersey, on the night of October 11, 1966. It was 9:45 p.m. when two boys, Martin Munoz and James Yankitis, left a movie theater and began their walk home along New Jersey and 4th Street. Eventually, they turned onto a road that ran beneath the elevated turnpike, a long concrete tunnel where traffic thundered overhead, and only scattered pools of light broke through the darkness. It was not a safe place for children after nightfall, and the boys felt a rising unease as they continued forward. Earlier that evening, they had heard rumors that a woman in town had been chased by a huge man wearing a green suit. They tried to dismiss the story, talking casually to distract themselves, but the feeling of being watched lingered in the shadows around them. Just before they reached the far end of the underpass, James spotted something on the opposite side of the chain-link fence. A tall figure stood motionless among the bushes. He nudged Martin and asked, "Who is that?" Both boys turned, and instantly their nerves shattered. The figure was enormous, tall and powerfully built. He wore a reflective green suit that clung tightly to his body. At first, he seemed focused on a house far across the street, unaware of the boys. Then, slowly, he turned his head toward them. His face looked wrong, almost inhuman, and stretched across it was a wide, chilling grin. The boys ran. They did not look back. The figure remained at the fence, smiling as they fled into the night. By chance, author and ufologist John Keel was in the area shortly after the incident, investigating a UFO sighting reported 40 miles north of Elizabeth. When he heard about the boys' encounter, he interviewed them separately. Both described the same towering figure, the same reflective suit, and the same awful grin. Both pointed to the same spot beneath the turnpike, and because the UFO sighting had occurred on the very same night, it did not take long for people to wonder if the grinning man might have come from somewhere far beyond Earth. A second encounter followed less than 3 weeks later, this time more than 500 miles away in West Virginia. On November 2nd, Sewing machine salesman Woodrow Derenberger was driving along Interstate 77 when a strange craft descended from the sky and forced him to stop in the middle of the road. A tall being stepped out. He had wide-set eyes and a massive grin that never faltered. Unlike the figure in New Jersey, this one wore a reflective blue one-piece suit. To Derenberger's shock, the entity spoke to him telepathically, asking about the lights on the horizon, unaware they were simply the glow of a distant town. The being introduced himself as Indrid Cold, a name that meant nothing at the time but would grow infamous in the decades that followed. Cold asked Derenberger several questions about the area and its inhabitants before returning to his craft. However, before he departed, he delivered a final message. He would return. This encounter occurred only 2 weeks before the famous Mothman sightings began in nearby Point Pleasant, leading many to wonder whether the events were connected. And in the weeks that followed, reports suggested they might be. During the peak of the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant, another unsettling encounter was reported, one that seemed to connect directly to the grinning man. The Lilly family, who lived on the outskirts of town, had been enduring a surge of unexplained disturbances within their home. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed without warning, items were thrown from shelves, and strange lights hovered in the sky above the property. The chaos had begun abruptly and showed no signs of stopping. Of everyone in the house, it was the youngest daughter, Linda, who suffered the most. While the rest of the family dealt with the constant disruptions, Linda endured something far more personal and terrifying. At 1:45 a.m. on December 14, 1966, Linda burst into her parents' bedroom, trembling and screaming. Through tears, she explained that she had been awakened by an odd clicking sound. When she opened her eyes, she found a tall man standing at the foot of her bed. She could not make out all his features clearly, but she could see his grin. Wide, fixed, unnatural. She said he moved around the bed and stood over her, leaning in as if studying her. Terrified, Linda hid under the covers and screamed. When she finally dared to look again, the man was gone. For weeks afterward, she refused to sleep in her room, and by the time she gathered the courage to return, the poltergeist activity had faded as mysteriously as it had begun. The Lilly family would never again report anything unusual in their home, but the memory of that grinning figure stayed with them forever. Reports of similar figures did not stop there. From late 1966 through early 1967, residents in Provincetown, Massachusetts claimed to encounter a strange prowler. He was described as tall, muscular, and always wearing a fixed, grim smile. Several separate witnesses described nearly identical details, but the newspaper clippings containing these accounts remain buried in old archives, yet to be widely published online. Not all encounters occurred in America. One of the most chilling came from across the Atlantic in the Scottish countryside, where a woman named Mary Elizabeth McCrae reported an experience that would haunt her for the rest of her long life. Mary Elizabeth McCrae lived with her husband Alan on the outskirts of Dunkeld, a quiet village resting on the edge of the sweeping Cairngorms National Park. Their children had long since grown and moved away, leaving the couple to enjoy a peaceful, secluded life. Their nearest neighbor lived nearly a mile off, and although their home was isolated, neither Mary nor Alan ever felt uneasy there. The nights were silent, the land was beautiful, and life moved at a gentle pace. On the night of November 23, 1972, the couple went to bed around 9, as they always did. They read for a short while, extinguished the lamps, and drifted off to sleep. At some point in the early hours of the morning, Mary awoke to an unfamiliar sound. A faint clicking echoed through the room. She opened her eyes and realized she could not move. She lay on her stomach, paralyzed and struggling for breath. In the 1970s, sleep paralysis was not widely understood. To Mary, the sudden inability to move or speak felt like an immediate and overwhelming threat. Panic built inside her, but she could do nothing to alleviate it. The clicking grew louder, sharper, almost drilling into her ears. Then a chilling realization struck her. She always closed the curtains before getting into bed. It was a nightly ritual she never forgot. But now, the curtains were open. Moonlight filtered through the glass, illuminating the room with a cold, bluish glow. She felt watched, A flicker of movement in the periphery of her vision forced her eyes toward the lower corner of the window. There, pressed against the glass, was a face. Dark, widely spaced eyes stared back at her, and beneath them stretched a wide, sinister grin. The expression was fixed, cold, and full of malice. As she stared, she felt herself becoming drawn in, unable to look away. Her body lifted slowly from the mattress, rising into the air as if pulled by invisible hands. She tried to scream, but her voice refused to obey. She hung helpless, while the grinning face watched from the window, its eyes dark and unblinking. Then everything went black. Mary awoke the next morning lying in her bed, the curtains still open, her head pounding with an agonizing headache that lingered for nearly a week. The details of the encounter remained painfully vivid, and for the rest of her life, she maintained that she had not imagined it. She passed away in 2013 at the age of 94, still certain of what she had seen that night, still haunted by the memory of the face with the terrible grin. With these encounters laid out across different states, different countries, and different decades, one question remains impossible to ignore. Who or what is the grinning man? And perhaps more importantly, why does he appear to the people he chooses? Despite the consistency of the descriptions, the circumstances surrounding each sighting vary wildly. Some appear connected to UFO activity. Others occur alongside poltergeist disturbances. A few happen in total isolation, without any accompanying phenomena at all. This inconsistency has fueled a wide range of theories, each more unsettling than the last. Some witnesses who have encountered the notorious Men in Black report that these agents often possess odd, inhuman features. They describe off proportions, strange skin tones, and fixed, unsettling smiles. For some researchers, this overlap suggests that the grinning man is connected to the same intelligence behind the MIB encounters, possibly even a variant of whatever they truly are. Others point to alien abduction cases. Certain witnesses have reported seeing a grinning figure either before or during their alleged abductions. The clicking sounds heard by both Linda Lilly and Mary McRae are commonly cited in numerous alien encounter reports. Their experiences also mirror the paralyzing fear and inability to move described by countless abductees around the world. The connection deepens with the curious name given to Woodrow Derenberger during his encounter, Indrid Cold. In the years that followed, more than one abductee claimed to have been contacted by someone using that same name. One such report emerged from Italy in December of 1979. A man named Pier Zanfretta, who claimed a long history of encounters with reptilian beings, reported that before one of his abductions, he was approached by a grinning man who identified himself as Indrid Cold. Throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, Derenberger himself insisted he continued to receive visits from Cold. Not only that, but two additional grinning figures allegedly appeared to him, introducing themselves as Damo Hassan and Kurodo. According to Derenberger, even his wife met these beings and believed they carried malicious intentions. Their marriage dissolved soon after these encounters, adding yet another layer of tragedy and mystery to the story. Then there is the strange link to the Mothman. Many believe the Mothman was an extraterrestrial creature. Others see it as a harbinger, a warning of impending disaster. A few fringe theorists have suggested something far stranger. They claim that the grinning man, Indrid Cold, and the Mothman are all connected, perhaps even members of the same race of shape-shifting entities that walk among us. Some go further, suggesting that they blend seamlessly into human society, occasionally adopting the appearance of government officials and appearing as men in black. But is this going too far? When the first three major sightings all trace back to John Keel, who later popularized the Mothman story, some skeptics argue that the tales may have been embellished or colored by his interpretations. They propose that later sightings simply borrow from Keel's work, creating a cycle of imitation rather than genuine encounters. It is a possibility, although one that does little to explain the global consistency of the descriptions or the recurring themes across decades. What stands out most is the timing. Many of these encounters occur between the colder months of winter and early spring. Perhaps it is coincidence, or perhaps, as some have suggested, the grinning man simply prefers the cold. No pun intended, of course. Regardless of what we believe, one thing is clear. The grinning man phenomenon has not faded. In fact, more sightings are reported each year, and whether he is alien, interdimensional, or something else entirely, he remains one of the most disturbing figures ever encountered. If you ever find yourself walking alone at night, or waking unexpectedly in the small hours before dawn, pray that you never meet the tall figure with the fixed, unnatural smile. The one who watches, the one who enters uninvited, the one who calls himself cold.